Hello, hello, hello. Time to begin my very first stream. I hope everything's being captured just fine. It looks like it is. Sorry for my audio leaking over myself. So, we're going to be playing Elden Ring as a lovely, wretched torch using, I forgot what, wretch. Just gonna quickly use the similar face feature to make a lovely Daruma character. I don't know if there's an easy way to make my character red. Oh. There we go. Oh. It looks as if things are being captured just fine. I'll quickly give him lovely golden hair. And that should be us. Not going to be too concerned with what my character looks like. Just going to try and get right to it. Obviously you don't start Elden Ring with a torch, but I believe you should be able to buy one almost immediately at the very first merchant. So Elden Ring's a game I have a lot of mixed feelings on. There's some things about it that are brilliant, there's some things that are a little confusing to me, and other things that perhaps let me down a little bit with my expectations from previous Souls games.
Tell a story.
I'm gonna just let any cutscenes play. I don't have any specific reason to skip them. And it's been, I haven't played this game since day one and week one, so I'm looking forward to re-experiencing it and giving some of my thoughts along the way.
Across the fog, the lands between. Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish. Soon, Marika's offspring, demigods all, claimed the shards of the Elden Ring. The mad taint of their newfound strength triggered the shattering.
I've always found it interesting that a lot of the concept art that they show in the intros in the From Software games can somewhat slightly differ from the things we wind up seeing in the final game. It's pretty strange that to this day they still do this with still images.
Leading to abandonment by the
I honestly forgot that Elden Ring had one of these. I remember the one from Demon's Souls very well, but after
now,
Demon's Souls obviously has its CG cutscene with the big screaming dragon, and Dark Souls has a great big CG
long lost grace speaks to
cutscene showing Nito and the dragons and all sorts. So I honestly completely forgot that Elden Ring had this.
Oraloo, chieftain of the Badlands, the ever-brilliant Gold Mask.
It's also pretty strange the characters they choose to highlight here.
The deathbed
Gold
companion,
Mask seems like a deceptively unimportant
the
character.
loathsome Dung Eater,
And Dung Eater is someone I'll have a lot of thoughts to give on.
and Sir
So he's the
Gideon
character I decided to
Othniel.
go with the ending of my
The all-knowing!
So right away I've done literally zero routing. I'll still remember the locations of some things, but it's been a long time since I played Elden Ring.
Bless. A tarnished of no renown.
Since I believe we don't start with a torch, at least not to my memory.
To the lands between.
We're going to have to find some soul items on the floor.
To stand
or crush some of the skulls you can find around the lands between to quickly farm some souls to buy a torch from the first merchant.
And become the Elden Lord.
The ringing on the map menu. So, believe it, you do actually need to start this first fight, but you can just jump off the edge. So I won't be dealing any damage to this very, very first boss. With the resemblance of the starting room to where you start in the High Wall of Lothric and Dark Souls 3, I was particularly shocked that this fight didn't have any items, really, besides the finger you find at the very start. It's a very different introduction to the game than you get in the other Dark Souls games.
Don't worry, Torrent. Fortune is on his side. We found him here, after all. One of his kind is sure to seek the Elden Ring. Even if it does violate the Golden Order.
I think right away it's a little deceptive and unclear as to whether the Golden Order is like an order of knights or specifically the rules set forth by the gods. It's something we don't really learn much about until very, very near the end of the game, with probably around the final 5 bosses. So we'll be skipping the tutorial since it requires you to kill things. I'm gonna make doubly sure you don't start with a torch. Nope, nothing. Just to be very clear that we won't be using it, I'll go ahead and drop my club. No need for a weapon. Oh. Bye-bye. And straight out into the lands between we go. Oh? I guess not the very first door. I always thought it was rather strange putting this particular stone sword statue so close to the tutorial. There's a lot of things like the Dragon Communion Talisman that you can find in there that really don't seem like something that should be a player's concern this early on. While it's quite likely that you forget that that's there by the time you find stone sword keys and become acquainted with what they actually do, it's still a little weird to me that you would put something with such valuable loot that's quite difficult to get to technically within the tutorial area.
Oh, yes. Tarnished, are we? Come to the lands between for the Elden Ring? Hmm? Of course you have. No shame in it. Unfortunately for you, however, you are maidenless. Without guidance, without the strength of runes, and without an invitation to the Round Table Hold, you are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity. Luckily for you, however, there is one.
I think it's interesting that Elden Ring, of all of FromSoft's games, decides to start you out by insulting you with the very first character that you interact with.
Take care to listen. Are you familiar with grace? The golden light that gives life to you, Tarnished. You may also behold its golden rays, pointing in a particular direction at times. That is the guidance of grace, a path that a Tarnished must travel. Indeed. Grace's guidance holds the answers. It will lead you, Tarnished, to the path you are meant to follow, even if it leads you to your grave.
I think the golden light from Graces is also interesting from a mechanical standpoint, since unlike Dark Souls, it's hinted at constantly in dialogue that similar to Hollowing, you'd lose your connection to Grace the more you die, but there's no such feature in Elden Ring whatsoever. Dark Souls 3 had a stat for how much you're hollowing based on how much you die, and there were benefits and, I believe, some form of downside to doing it. But Elden Ring leaves the Golden Graces completely untouched throughout its entire run-through.
Grace's guidance will reveal the path forward, most certainly. To Castle Stormvale, over on the cliff, the home of the decrepit demigod, Godric the Grafted.
I think I'll turn the volume up slightly. I feel like I'm probably a little louder in the game. Does this game not have audio? Oh. That should be a much better balance, I think.
It's time you set off, I should think, to Castle Stormvale on the cliff, where Grace would guide you, if you seek the Elden Ring, maidenless as you are.
So, with the starting vista of Elden Ring, it's quite different to the starting vista of pretty much any other Souls game. Not only do we not have any sort of a crestfallen warrior, in fact I can't recall there being one in the entire game, well I could be wrong, but there's quite a lot of things to look at right away. And I don't feel like the Erd tree itself is... It's not particularly easy to look at, given to get it in frame you need to look all the way up. Obviously you've got the Church of Ele. Fantastic. That's basically the most bold thing in frame. And Castle Stormvale looks deceptively more distant than it actually is. But I feel like it's kind of interesting that you don't start facing the Erd tree directly. And it's also, again, too close to kind of look at in frame with everything else. Given the map's orientation, it's about right. I mean, it's not... Dark Souls has a history of kind of scuffing its maps purposefully to make things look more distant or too close, but it's around the proper distance. But I think it's quite interesting that it's so domineering, and I mean, you're going to see it from literally anywhere you are in the whole game, but it's not really the thing that you're drawn to most. I think they do a good job of framing the church as being your very obvious first destination. I wish I had more comments on the very first tree sentinel, but I really don't. He's not particularly interesting as far as first mini-bosses go. Obviously he's very punishing to fight early on. So these skulls, I'm not sure how I should... Normally you can break them by rolling. Some of these skulls will contain the souls we're going to need for the torch, unless I can happen to find a souls drop somewhere on the floor. But I'm going to have to keep a close eye out within the first few hours to... Well, it's not going to take me even 1 hour to get a torch, I should hope. But I believe the torch should be around 500 souls. Oh. Perhaps less.
And I can also see that you're not after my throat. Then why not purchase a little something? I am Kale, purveyor of fine goods. You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here.
I don't think I'd ever
duration.
noticed that he has, like,
The
green
kit costs
skin.
a bundle.
I haven't really
and
looked at
admit
Kale
I do
in
take my
particular.
cut. But the important thing is that
His
you
green skin and
survive.
yellow dyes seem kind of interesting.
Every customer counts, after all.
So, the good thing about Elden Ring is that these rune values are identical
Goodbye.
if you sell
Nice
them
to
or
do
use them.
business.
So there's almost really never a reason to manually use them. It's a bit of a shame because the animation's good, but it's nice to at least have a torch right off bat.
What
It
is
also
it?
might be nice to have some armor if I can afford. Not even close.
Goodbye.
So, if you talk to Kale a little more, he talks a bit about the merchants being very unforgiving.
What
And
is it? I am of a nomadic people.
if you attack
selling
one of
wares
them,
as
I believe
travel.
literally none
The
of them
land
will
has
sell
been
anything to
tainted
you.
by madness since
It's not,
the
it doesn't
shattering of
close
the
anything
Elden
out to you
Ring.
because once you unlock
It's
the
only
round table
tarnished like
after your
yourself.
first major
You
boss,
keep things from drying
you're
up
immediately
entirely.
able to send
Let's say
the
you're
bell
a very
bearings to the
welcome
Finger Maiden
customer.
and get all of those items if you choose to kill every single merchant. And really, besides finding the combat hard if you're a beginner,
You know, you
it's
should
not
buy
actually that
yourself a
hard to
crafting
kill
essential. The kit
any
costs
of them,
about the
and
important thing.
honestly the upside
Goodbye.
outweighs the downside. So I might choose to do it this run, because I've never done it. But I think it's interesting that they would choose to punish you so harshly for such an early decision. It's far, far worse than, well, It's probably not as bad as attacking the Crestfallen Warrior at the start of Dark Souls 1. That quite infamously stopped a lot of people in their tracks at the very, very start of the game. I believe these merchants should be a lot easier to kill and a lot less damaging than the Crestfallen Warrior was. But I do think it's quite interesting that they really go like that length. Oh, failed the torch backstab. Pretty much anything will do good enough poise damage this early on to stagger the early game knights, at least the small ones. So, early combat shouldn't be too difficult. When I first played this game, the message that tells you about how these little dung beetles function. There. I always thought it was really weird, because this led me to believe that there was only the two types, and for a very, very long time into the game, well, until I was into Liurnia anyway, I had no idea that there was a third type of Teardrop Scarab that drops Ashes of War, which seems like a very major thing to just not mention in the thing that tutorializes these. For the vast majority of the time, I would already have full Crimson Tear flasks, or Cerulean Tears, because I wasn't using magic for quite some time. So it just seems quite odd to tell players there's two types when there's not. It's not really a gripe I have with the game, I guess, but I do feel like that probably should have been explained a little bit better. I'm not so scared of the knights, but the dogs I'm not really sure how we're going to deal with for a little while, because the moveset of the torch is really bad. It is good that the combo doesn't seem to end as long as you have stamina. So any enemy that you can stagger easily will essentially be stun locked for as many swings as you can muster. It is somewhat concerning that yeah, dogs are going to be rough. Stakes of Marika are a pretty interesting element of Elden Ring. Bonfires were probably a lot more distant between each other in the Souls games than stakes often are. So you could say that this game's somewhat less punishing as a result of them. I don't think the variance in difficulty is actually that bad. Or that drastic, I should say. There is... maybe I can't backstab it, I'm not sure. That doesn't sound right. I must be doing it. I do have gripes on the difficulty level of this game, but I feel like Stakes of America aren't really a big enough concern. They don't really change the game that much. They did a good job of making sure you can't randomly flail your way through the game. So really, there's a lot of features like Ashes of War and the summons that alleviate difficulty in ways. But again, I don't think they make the game too easy. And I'll get more into those when they become more relevant and more apparent. I don't actually know what the trigger is for Rani showing up and giving me the bell in the first place. Into summons and how they actually affect the game's difficulty around the market. Or Morgott, or whatever. I forget what the very first boss is called, but I could be completely wrong with that. I did not know that this enemy type had the noise for a dark attack. I'm not sure if that's something I'll get to talking about very much, because it's not... It is something that's way too strong. It's something I probably should talk about in terms of difficulty, but I'm not too familiar with it, because I never really sorted board. But I think it's interesting that it's present on such an early enemy, but quite rarely present for the rest of the game. If you'll forgive me, I'm going to quickly resize chat because the learn more message is bothering me quite a bit. Apologies for game sound not being on when out of focus. I wonder if I can change that with a spec. Seemingly not. I also want to get rid of some of the settings that make the game a bit hard to look at for myself. Not having the greatest vision in general, I don't really enjoy games just by default having depth of field on. It's hard enough for me to focus on distant things already. Let's edit transform. Go up bottom. Okay. Don't know why this is so slow. Well, that's a lot less obnoxious. I'll probably just crop out the top pinned message as well. And I'll resize chat to be a little smaller until people actually join. If someone actually says something. I actually intended for my model to be a lot closer to the little souls icon too. So there we go. I could make myself smaller and rest on it, but I don't feel like that's necessary. I like the stab. So I feel like now is as good a time as any to mention why I'm doing torch only of all things. Elden Ring's a game without as many interesting gimmick weapons as I'd expect. I'm assuming that's probably because a lot more effort went into Ashes of War as a general mechanic, since those can be slapped on so many things, that really the only unique weapons tend to be the boss ones. There's a few exceptions to that, but that goes for almost everything in the game. But as a result of that, 4 challenge runs, you're either going to be using some absurd Ash of War for the whole game, which I'm not really interested in doing, or you need to lock yourself to a weapon type. But there aren't really weapon types that suck too bad. Actually, finding the flail there was an interesting point of note. The flail was pretty bad from my experience. While, what is it, strike damage is pretty good in this game. The spinny thing you can do with flails is just god-awful. You would much prefer a mace in pretty much anything. But besides that, there's a lot of really, really good whips and things in this for PvP. So I figured Torch was probably one of the worst things, if not the worst thing that I could possibly use. Plus, I was a little bit unaware, but there's around 5 weapons that count as torches for the sake of this category. I know there was around 3 regular torches, which I think is what I collected in my actual original playthrough, including the one that deals sleep damage, which I don't know if we'll get to see, but I believe that's a St. Trina's torch, if I recall. But that will be somewhat a concern when leveling. So I find this pretty interesting. Oh, I did not crop the chat correctly. But in this cutscene, well, this is the very first time that your character properly interacts with, I want to say Millennia? But
Greetings,
might be the
traveler
mega boss, I
from
forget.
beyond the fog. I am Melina.
Melina. Okay. Okay.
They serve the Two Fingers,
But I
offering guidance
feel like a lot
and
more
aid
players
to the Tarnished.
wouldn't experience this as early as you're intended to.
But you,
I only really rested at the
afraid.
other graces because this is triggered by
maidenless.
resting at 3 graces, but It's not very necessary in
play
this
the
game,
role of
given the
maiden.
stakes of Marika and, well, the fact that you can't level
Turning
up at them
runes
until
into
after
strength.
you bond with
To aid
her.
you need only take me with you. To the foot of the Erd Tree. Then it settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring.
Much appreciated.
Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
I'm not actually sure what torches scale with. Torches are considered shields? I guess that's why they can't visceral attack. Strength and dex.
Shall I turn your... Let my hand share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
I'm gonna just stick with Vigor for now until we find some armor worth wearing. Gonna be real, it never really occurred to me to put Torrent on one of those wide shortcut buttons. So I'm, like, I don't know, 30% sure you're probably just supposed to skip this encounter. Because there's trolls directly after that that, like, you can realistically fight on the floor, but I don't really see most beginners feeling like, while being shot at with however many archers it is, you can fight one of those right away. It's not entirely unreasonable. It is possible, but for pretty much your first, like, difficult enemy, it seems quite strange for the troll to be surrounded by so many other smaller enemies. And they're, like, positioned in a way where they actually are somewhat threatening. I forgot it was groups that were punching us. I thought maybe it was, like, individual unique enemies or random chats. I completely forgot how that mechanic worked.
Everyone's been grafted. Everyone who came with me. They crossed the sea for me. They fought for me. Only to have their arms taken. Their legs taken. Even their heads taken. Taken and stuck to the spider. Did you know? If you're grafted by the spider, you become a chrysalid. It's quite a lark when you think about it. You're all on your own, are you? And heading to Stormvale Castle? Enticed by the one in the white mask, I suppose.
Chrysalid is a pretty weird
Well,
term to
you've
use.
come to be one with the spider.
It's not one I've really
Well,
heard
that
anyone
makes
talk
us
about.
two peas in a pod. But I don't have your courage. It's scary, you know, having your arms cut off, or legs, or your head. I want to be like everyone else, but I'm just too scared. I'm nothing but a craven. Oh, I know. can you take this little one along with you? The poor thing deserves someone braver than myself. And the spirits look rather fondly upon you. It'll be glad of your company, I think, the little un.
I'm not going to address summoning
It was a
spirits just
pleasure
yet.
to see you. Oh, can you pass on a message for me? If you see the little chrysalids in Stormvale Castle, tell them I love them. And that, despite my craven heart, I'm sure I'll be joining their club soon enough. I'm finally getting the hang of this whole pain thing, you know. It was a pleasure to see you. Oh, can you tell them I love? I'm finally getting that.
So this dialogue, I think, you know, obviously the spider she's referring to is almost, if not literally identical to the one we fight as the very, very first boss in the tutorial. But it's quite easy to take it as her just being, like, insane.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the earth. This light once shone, but now you can see them, the rays of grace. Upon the cliff in Castle Stormvale is a shard bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring. If the rays of grace, then the Elden Ring as an ally. I pray thee to face the challenge. Upon the cliff, a demigod.
Okay,
If
I
the
don't know
ray
why I
in
can
the
repeat that
Elden as an
dialogue.
ally, I pray to face
Sorry for
the
skipping
challenge.
through it a little bit, but I had other things I wanted to talk about. So, since she refers to the grafted characters as chrysalids, which is, as far as I could look up, just an old English word for cocoon, it's a strange thing to call someone who's just a head attached to a spider. And it's odd that she would know. I guess it must be something that people tell stories of happening in the tower. But it seems particularly strange that people are aware that that's the exact fate that you endure when you go up there and you are captured. So yeah, this was... I assumed it was just a familiar magic when I first saw it. So I didn't kill it until very late into the game. Thanks Elden Ring tutorial. I think we'll take the detour. It's been a long time, so I can't exactly remember the map without seeing it in front of me. In fact, it's... Oh. I guess I just completely ignored picking up the map. We'll travel back and do that quickly. Hey, Steve. I see you in chat. Of course it popped up on your YouTube, the algorithm loves me. He's Daruma. Well, I just chose similar face, but he's just Daruma. Some of the aggro ranges are kind of impressive in Elden Ring compared to Dark Souls. Yeah, so... I believe here is where I'm headed. Yeah, I just decided to go red and gold. The learn more thing showing up in chat is boring me so much. In future streams I'm totally gonna bother capturing pop-up window, but I just had to set up like a basic chat display thing. I've done it before. And I wanted to make sure I knew how to chroma key the background out and make sure text displayed properly and stuff. I'm not gonna try kill that guy. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit and go where I think Patches is. I guess I must have been right if it's forcing me to dispack. Oh, I was like bang on. Oh. Oh no. Oh wait, doesn't an ally come in? I had already well dedicated myself to this playthrough, my first playthrough when I first ran into this guy, but this was a serious contender for my second playthrough weapon. It was really, really cool. Oh. Rip me. Let me quickly set things so I can see the stuff I should see properly. Okay. Ooh. So yeah, I'm cheating going directly to Patches because I just simply want to show off the shackle, because I think it's interesting to offer something really beneficial to get what is easily like a very, very large difficulty spike out of the way so early on. Determination might actually wind up being something I use. should be better. Not that much. Has a quest line, I completely missed it when I played this. I only encountered him when he tells you to mess with the dragon, and then never ever again after this. Oh god! I'm not sure if there are any spirit summons that specifically don't do any damage, but I'm going to limit myself to only using ones that I literally cannot have do damage. And as far as I know, I can't desummon Yeru here, so I'll let him help with this fight. But I'm gonna try and not rely on him. I always thought these poems were pretty strange. I don't have too much to say about them though, because it'll be a while into the playthrough before I'm fully refreshed on Elden Ring lore.
You there? Could you help us out, Cully?
I missed this guy on my first playthrough as well. I forgot his name.
You? Yeah, you there? Stop pretending you can't see me.
Hello?
Oh, yes.
Monkey
I
ball.
remember. Some clod turned me into a tree. You were just breaking the spell, weren't you? Thank you. The name's Bok. I was pushed out of the cave. Told not to come back. Not ever. Then I ended up as a tree. Lucky you came along, really. Oh, what a shame. When they threw me out of the cave, they took everything I owned. And so this is all I have to express my thanks. I hope you can forgive me. Well, if you can afford to wait for a while, I could sneak back into the cave and bring back something of actual value. Then I'd be of some real use to you, I reckon. Right, but I'll need a moment. My knee.
Cave on the shore.
Right,
I'm not sure if he's referring to Patches or not. I thought that he was referring to Patches because he's been robbed and kicked to the side, but I'm not sure if you would call that the shore. I mean, it is on the side of the water, but normally you would think of like the beach down to the southwest. I'm sure people who have actually done Locke's questline and were aware of him know more than me on that. Stuck on the skeletons. I can't even like grab my souls and run back and like try and upgrade the torch or something. Ooh. I can't remember if Great Dragonfly heads are just items or not. I know they have something there that I don't think I actually remember, which relates to that. Oh, that fully refills your flask. I thought it was like this is some exhilarating lock-on. I always felt like these guys laugh, and I wonder if that's intentional. Or at least, I assume it is intentional, so I wonder how intentional it is. Apologies for the noise, had to move my mic. toys work somewhat in this game. This fight is not treating me nice. I really don't think it was ever the case before that torches were just counted as shields. Which could be a problem later. Not that backstabs are ever 100% necessary, but I mean, especially in NPC fights like this, it's really useful. I think there's a closer, what do you call it? I was gonna say shrine. Not shrines. I'll have to go down. I guess I'll grab. Or at least help Grace. There you go. I'll grab the Grace here. And then I shall leave. Surely there's a Grace somewhere in the lake. I completely missed this dragon until very, very late on first playthrough. Even though Yeru specifically told me about it, I completely misinterpreted where it was and never thought to check that very small specific patch of lake. To be fair, I also don't think I knew until I was almost done that this was called the Dragonburnt Ruins either. I really haven't been paying any attention to where Yarrow actually spawns, so he must spawn further down. Because he got stuck fighting the skeletons the very first time. Or, I guess the second time.
Bloody finger. The end is in sight. For you. And your blood.
Going for lights. But the lights range is so bad compared to the heavy. Thank goodness. But yeah, a Reduvia, very cool weapon. I don't know how good it actually is, but it's definitely a favourite of mine out of everything in this game. But that kind of leads me back to why I chose Torch only. Because a lot of the cool gimmick weapons are not terrible.
Me? I'm searching for my purpose, given to me by my mother inside the Erd Tree, long ago, for the reason that I yet live, burned and bodiless. There is something for which I must apologize. I've acted the Finger Maiden, yet can offer no guidance. I am no maiden. My purpose was long ago lost. Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. Share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
It's interesting that it's like not even close how much more understandable dialogue gets once you've beaten this game versus when you originally play it. Oh. Yeah, I guess stealth just isn't an option. Cool. Oh, I saw the chimes to my right and just assumed that was the only pair for some reason. I don't know if that's status effect, but it must be status effect, so. I was thinking for a second it might be like armor degradation in Dark Souls 2 stuff. I don't think that's in this game. My bad. I do think it's interesting how even as far back as... Are these not auto-functional? I see. Feels much better having a health bar that isn't like 400. Oh my god. It bothers me so bad having the torchlight disappear every single time I try to drink from it or pick up a floor. Oh. I might stick with that later on, but I would rather stay light rolling for now. Let's not go for those bells if I can avoid it. Oh goodness. No, they weren't lying. Sure. I don't know if we know if there's a difference between being rated good or poor, given it only just says a raw number of appraisals. Dastard. It literally doesn't appear till you do this, correct?
Well, well, well. Thought you'd just help yourself to a man's personal belongings, huh? You scheming little thief. The gods
I didn't realize he
demand
was on a ledge.
repentance. Cough up your coin. All of it.
So his Great Shield's something we're going to want much later. One of the side reasons I chose Torch on me. Because there's a very specific boss I want to show off that might even have a video about it. But I could not defeat it whatsoever with any build I tried beside a torch and the tower shield. I I would give props to anyone who manages to guess, but I don't think it's particularly likely that anyone has a clue what boss I'm talking about. I will give the clue that it is a multi-boss.
Wait, please! I surrender! White flag and all!
You may live, Patches.
Finally come round, have you? Well, I knew you would. You're a man of reason. True and true.
Yeah, I am.
Ah, well, what do you know? Now, how did I get that wrong? I took you for a demi-human or some such. Well, an innocent mistake, I assure you. Well, water under the bridge. Now we're squid.
It's interesting that for this point,
I'm Patches.
you're not very
Patches,
likely
the
to know what a
untethered.
demi-human is.
Tarnished like you, only free-spirited. Nomadic, you might say, only for now. Those retired soldiers turned bandits. They're paying for my gruel. In exchange for my, well, showing them the ropes. But honestly, this looting racket is bloody terrifying. Frankly, I'm ready to wash my hands clean. Maybe set up a legitimate shop. So don't be a stranger. I'll be ready to wheel and deal come next time.
Gavlan wheel, Gavlan deal.
Don't forget to pop back. I'll be ready to
There must be some Japanese phrase that coincides with. There we go. That's at the Ruma. Time to return to church.
This way, Tarnished. May I have a word?
So this is something I've not analysed whatsoever. But I'm sure a lot more interesting things are said here than
A
was
pleasure to
initially
meet thee,
apparent.
Tarnished. I am the witch Renna. I'd heard tell of a Tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk, I surmise, is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent. Ah, as I had hoped, I was entrusted this for thee by Torrent's former master. 'Tis a bell for calling forth spirits. Summon them with it. From ash and return to the Erdtree, the spirits will obey thine command but briefly. As they recall battles past, now it is thine, to do with as thou wishest. Forgive mine intrusion, Tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. But all the same, learn well the lands between. How long will it be, I wonder, before the Tarnished tire of obeisance to the two fingers?
Not as much said there, actually. But it hadn't really occurred to me that someone else owned Torrent. Strength scaling improves. But not dex, I see.
Wait, well, you're back. There are others if the mood takes you and you, my people. which is why we cannot settle it. Thanks to that, I think this makes us, your people, the Tarnished, and mine. Perhaps you don't need to see that no harm comes. We have a saying, lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, but if that is our code, just the way we are.
I feel compelled to get the crafting stuff,
I'm
and
glad
yet
you've made an exit.
I don't know what I'll wind up crafting. I believe there's buff perfumes that you can make later. But I won't be calling in anyone on co-op, since it's obviously some form of cheating. Not using a torch, of course. Can go on a torch, and I haven't looked into it whatsoever, so that should be interesting to discover just how bad I've made things for myself. I'm trying to think if there's anything I should do before attempting Stormvale. Oh. Patches. I don't know why I didn't consider that I need to buy the shackle. Hadn't really occurred to me that these guys still aggro to you after you've beaten Patches as well. Hold the deer.
Well, nice of you to drop it. It's all a bit ad hoc. And welcome. Well, you won't need a refund. Yeah, I had those banned now. They're all suppliers. I mean, but it hardly matters. They're all foot soldiers, worked to the bone by their hire.
It really is the same story everywhere.
Well, just something I'm saving. But then again, and besides, huh?
So 5k for that. Well, I don't think I have anywhere near 5 grand.
Cheers for that.
Might be time to explore. I don't remember that being a transporter trap.
Well, well, well. I should have known, you scheming little thief. The gods demand vengeance. Vengeance!
Oh, this is on top of the tower, isn't it? Again, this is stuff. I use the large brick hammer you get in Stormvale Castle for the vast majority of Elden Ring. I wonder what happens if I just immediately go back to Patches. Oh. Oh. That's actually somewhat clever. I know about the trap at the top of the crazy tower, the frenzied flame tower, but it's certainly never been over in this part of Limgrave, I don't think. I did attempt to do just about everything when I played Elden Ring initially, but some secrets are very well kept, and sometimes it's hard to tell what parts of land you've been over 4 or 5 times and what bits of the land you've never been to. Tarnished. I can't remember if the cannibal merchant is north or south of here. Gotta love that guy. Oh, I forgot that backstepping breaks those. I think it's pretty interesting how early you can get down into the underground. I mean, it's... if I remember correctly, it's not like a large segment of the underground here, but... I believe this is the part with the ants and the little ruins that have like little spellcasters and the rock people. Yeah, okay. This is the part with the rock people. I was really expecting for God of War Ragnarok to blow me away a lot more than anything in Elden Ring. Elden Ring has some fantastic vistas, but God of War 2016 is far and away better, but this blew my mind way more than Ragnarok did. Having the like starry sky just underground. It looks gorgeous, and it's so interesting to realise that there's like a whole map just as big as the above ground. Obviously you're not normally here quite as early as I've gotten here. That is very strange that I've only gotten that tutorial now. I'm just going to soak up some of the materials in this area, and then we can travel back near patches. Oh, I need to rest. Oops. I think it's interesting how it's really, really likely that you manage to get abducted in Bloodborne, and of course it's literally necessary to get abducted in Dark Souls 1, but the traps that you encounter in this game are really, really easy to miss. I'm not saying it's like wholly likely that you get by without ever becoming stranded elsewhere, but I don't think I was aware of the whole trapped function where you physically need to rest. This is not where I'm meant to be. I'm also not sure who's yelling in pain. What on earth? I'm very confused about all this screaming. I love Dark Souls tutorial enemies. I believe these guys are just called nobles, right? Which is pretty interesting compared to hollows. It's almost the exact opposite. I hope the volume levels are alright. It looks fine, but... It's so weird that I only have stealth to run away and I don't have, like, backstabs. Bonk. I would love to make a video on the whole idea of stance breaking in Elden Ring probably not working the way it should. It's so funny seeing his health bar just chunk down like that. Enemy felled. I would swear that that screaming isn't normal. There's no way that that's normal. Don't believe I can... Probably should level up. I do need to somehow grind 5k souls, but we'll find it. So leveling up my dex doesn't even improve my damage with the torch at all. And I'm not sure if it's intelligence or faith I'll need later. Okay. First step time. So I'm gonna tackle the southern area, which I don't actually think it has a name. so Southern Limgrave. The boss of this place could be difficult, but everything else can't really see being a problem. What the? Is this screaming like a nighttime thing for... Is it these guys? Oh, it's the crucified guys. I forgot about them. If I remember correctly, they only scream at night. So weird. When I first encountered these guys screaming, I had assumed it would maybe be like the guys that scream in Divinity, and I would just get immediately blown up by like eye lasers if I went near them. Luckily they don't do anything, and I think a lot of people have even expressed confusion as to what they're doing in the game. I'm sure there's a specific reason why they're beside that pit. Ow! Don't remember these guys having a projectile. Touching grass. I love the term demi-human for these guys. It's a little weird from somewhere to go with something so like... I mean, I'd assume they just want to be the other. Apes? Outside of Sekiro, apes don't really appear in the other Souls games at all. But you know, it would be cool if they did. But I feel like this is a really far... I don't... thematically isn't like the word. It's certainly not what I would expect from Software, stylistically at least. Since I guess they rely on dark fantasy tropes quite hard. Well, I suppose I think Berserk does have evil monkeys. I will say that the roaring of the demi-humans gets on my nerves quite a bit. Some of the sound design choices in From Software games is a bit appalling on the occasion. Not often, but like enough that I think it's a gripe one could reasonably have with them. Anyone who's played Bloodborne will know how likely that game is to blow your eardrums out if and when they feel like it, without any proper rhyme or reason. There's no way you can reasonably jump this. Maybe here. I don't think I know there's 580 souls. Okay, yeah, that was dumb. I believe everything in online. Okay. Well, I guess I can see if that NPC's here. Isn't he normally? Wonder if it's like a time of day thing or something. I have never seen this. It's so sad how low the damage they deal to each other is. I know it's obviously because they don't want you like farming just by like refreshing the bonfire and just watching fights, but it would be cool to watch them like slaughter each other. There's a lot of spots where you can see that happen in other Souls games. There was this channel called like 110539 or some crap. I don't actually know the string of numbers, but it's just a string of numbers, and it used to just spawn Dark Souls bosses in the same arena and have them fight each other. I used to love that stuff. I used to watch it religiously. Okay, got my runes back. Oh. Of course. Don't know why I didn't think to just look at the map for how to get to Summerlin Grave, and instead just wander. It's really weird that like the way that the demi-humans break the illusion. Like I don't know if they were pretending to be something, if they were just flat and visible before that big smoke cloud appears, but I don't like see an object beforehand, and it's not placed in somewhere where, well, I mean, it will be surprising them spawning, but it's not like you look and you think there's like a tree that you're staring around and it like pops. I feel like it's just like a little bit less interesting than it should be. I think there's an NPC that specifically talks about this camp. There might be another one. But there is an NPC somewhere that refers to having settled down at a camp like that and then being forced out of it by the horseback raider guys that you see. There must be that one, because that's literally, those horseback guys are everywhere here. As much as I love the fight up there, I'll save it for later. I'm not gonna do that with a level 1 torch. And since I don't need the sword, and I don't even want the sword, we can leave it. I'll try and clean up as much as I can across this whole playthrough. Definitely not gonna be 100%ing, and I will go over places where the repeat content in this game just feels pointless, if not like an outright negative. You have to love this quest though.
Hello? Is somebody there?
I do
Might
think
I
it's
bend your
really
ear for a
weird
moment,
that
please?
they're
My name is Irina. I've escaped from Castle Morn to the south.
there isn't
The
alternate,
servants there
like,
have
there
rebelled.
comes for a lot of
I-
the side quests in this game.
I can't be sure what it is. My eyesight's been weak since birth, you see. But I swear I heard frightful howling from all over. My good father secreted me out the castle, but decided himself to stay. He says it's his duty. As commander.
I don't know if secrete
The servants are full
is
of
the
wrath,
correct word there.
filled with hatred for every one of us. They've since come for every one of the companions I escaped with. They haven't spared a soul. I fear it's no different at Castle Morn. Please, I implore you, would you mind taking a letter to my father? At the castle.
I
where my
thought
soul
she
wishes
was
to
leaking
escape.
blood. I was
Even if
so
his honor
confused.
should be the price. Please. I just want him to be safe. Thank you. Dearly, then please, take this. Deliver it to my father, who remains in the castle.
I like just had the assumption, like given, you know, they brought in like an external writer and this game was going open world and whatnot, that Elden Ring was going to be like more of a role-playing game. And I think that impression hurts it a fair bit. Strip of white flesh. The Misbegotten are really cool. I can understand why maybe they're very off-putting. They remind me of a... what's his name? Kid from Junji Ito. The one that he writes stories about all the time. The weird grinning kid. Soichi. They remind me of Soichi. But I think it's interesting naming something so, like, inhuman in a scary way, and, you know, they're very blatantly violent. I love the carrier donkeys as well. Yeah, I think it's really interesting naming them Misbegotten, and I think it's, I mean, it's probably just on their inhuman mobs. I think it's probably just on the things that drop from them, but I don't recall where you actually learned the name Misbegotten in particular. I might reinforce my torch before heading further into this area. Torch time. Well, that's so much better. Since I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff in this, I'm not that worried about wasting upgrade materials. I think there's enough slabs to upgrade all of the 5 or something torches there are in this game. I don't know, there's one that's just slightly better than the regular torch. I don't know if I'm going to bother upgrading that one as much, but the St. Trina's and the torch spear thing are probably likely for me to bother upgrading. This bait and switch with the archer that you can like barely see is awesome. I love this. Sometimes, like, those kind of trap areas and stuff, they just completely nail them in Dark Souls. I don't know if trap is the right term for a giant shooting a bow at you. That I didn't do enough stagger damage and knocking him down, by the way. I've never, ever not knocked one of them down before killing them. But like, where your camera's locked when you're aiming at the... I don't know what those guys are actually called. When you're aiming at their feet, it's much more reasonable an angle than the trolls. The trolls, it's like weirdly high up. And with weapons with like stubby, really annoying to use arcs like the torch, that can be bad. I'm not actually sure who that's referring to. My apologies. Ooh. What the hell? So that's an interesting sight. I've never seen that. I did try to, like, drain this area dry. I remember Arturia leaves being very, very useful for something. Huh. Oh. I know that map's been updated multiple times for Elden Ring, and I don't believe the ocean's been changed, but I love the little details like this, and the whirlpool like off to the southeast and whatnot. It gave a sort of like Krakens be here impression. I combed over this area like 4 times, like this little swamp thing, something useful would be here in my first playthrough, and even was thorough enough to kill all the slimes and the big crabs. But I'm pretty sure there's nothing, which is really weird for somewhere that distinct. You know, whatever. I thought there was one of those little golden trees here. Like, up this end. Is that it? Oh, that was... oh, that could have been bad. remember when I first played this, just using all these big ruins for cover from the arrows and exploring. I kind of assumed that because the Hawkeye the Giant isn't available to kill right away in Dark Souls 3, I assumed it would be similar to that, and there'd be, like, you know, that would be something you'd access later that would make these areas safer to explore. It might be something I stream eventually, because I think there's a lot interesting to say about how Dark Souls 3 distributes its items and puts them in places that are either, like, appropriately dangerous or kind of bizarrely out of the way. But that game has around, like, 3 notable choke points where the game starts opening up. Like, beforehand you don't really get to do your build. Like, whether you're a spellcaster or you want to do faith. Even pyromancy doesn't really have a lot early game. And then you hit Fire and Woods and suddenly you unlock, like, a lot of stuff from all of them. And a lot of the more interesting builds for, like, I don't know, challenge runs isn't the word, but just more interesting build weapons, like the Hazel Pick, having a strength-based weapon that casts sorceries and whatnot. It's so much cooler than pretty much anything you get in this. I'll talk about that a lot across the playthrough, but it'll become a lot clearer when I actually start filling my inventory up with some of the more unique items. I might even show some of the Ashes of War off, as long as I'm not, you know, killing any enemies and gaining souls off of them. I don't know how I feel about Castle Morn. I love this scene, the strange misbegotten worship. It's awesome. The dogs placed like here? There is dogs here, yeah. Really annoying. Dogs just have like a really inappropriately evasive moveset for you to encounter them as frequently as you do early on. For a lot of people, I know, well, I'm pretty sure visceral attack for the one. I think and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people do this before even visiting Stormvale. I'll get to, like, discuss confusion and stuff like that and, like, routing this game on a first playthrough later. Because there's some stuff that I don't know if egregious is the correct term, but it's very, very weird. We stand the mad pumpkin heads here. Ow! Okay. Ah! I love that you can knock enemies out of the air. They really do look like Soichi. probably for the best. So I can at least get there with some healing next time. Elden Ring has a lot of... Well, a lot is a strange way to open that statement. There's an overall issue with Elden Ring that it kind of like... In my Sekiro video I talk about how Sekiro kind of grooms you into being like a Sekiro beating machine over the first however many hours. 10 on average I would probably say, for a beginner. But this game kind of... I mean, I guess, like, you're very likely to visit here in Caelid before going to Stormvale. I think a lot of people... It might be a Western mindset, so I can't really, like, claim this of the Japanese player base or whatnot, but I think a lot of people are quite likely to assume that they should do everything they can before they get bottlenecked and, like, fan out before they hit the choke point. It's very clear that, I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to assume that Stormvale has as much world behind it as it does, but it's quite clear that it is a choke point. But, so I can't necessarily say that this game does it too early, but Stormvale kind of teaches you lessons that once you learn them, the entire rest of the game is going to be easy. And obviously I'm not saying that to be like, oh, Elden Ring easy, so ridiculous, like, didn't even try to make the game hard. But I think it's a bit of a step backwards from Souls, just in the way that they... Like, the rules you're gonna apply to... Oh my god. Sorry. The rules you're gonna apply to getting past combat encounters apply everywhere once you've learned yourself once. And by that I mean, in Elden Ring, the wind-up doesn't matter. Wait for when the enemy has started swinging an attack, and then dodge, and you'll be fine every single time for the entire duration of the game. And there's no better representation of that than the very first boss.
Warden of this castle,
or well, the first Elden Lord.
Himself. But you can see how things have turned out. The menials have all rebelled. They gave me good service.
I love that he has one of those hand guards.
But it seems it was all an act. Foul creatures, as it said. And true enough, they're foul inside and out. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but whatever you come here to do, take this by way of apology.
Thanks, mate.
I see. Thank you. But I can't leave yet, even if the castle should to ensure the treasured Sword of Morn.
Sword of Morn?
If you see Irina, her father will come for her once he's fulfilled his duty.
Some attacks that don't follow the general rule I was talking about, waiting for the slash to start. But those ones are gonna be what I'd like to refer to as a Demon of Song attacks. Because the Demon of Song is a ridiculously easy boss, but it's one of those bosses that just occasionally, very, very rarely, ends its normal combo string in an extra hit. And occasionally that's going to be because it's just... It's... I don't know if non-reactable is the correct thing to say, but the only reason it's like that is to break your expectations and kill you by filling you into a sense of safety. So I'm not very experienced at streaming at all. I'm sure that's obvious, but I do want to improve a lot alongside building some form of audience. So there's some games, specifically from software ones, that they're really, really hard to review properly within what I guess I would deem a reasonable time frame for a review. I'm sure other people are okay with very, very long ones, and I've watched many myself. But, personally, for things like the Sekiro video I did, where I want to talk about how good it is, I can only really talk about like a section of a game at a time, or something like that. And I would love to do that for a lot of these From Software games, and that's something I want to achieve across this and improve that. I don't know whether that's going to include like me needing to play the game off screen sometimes, not like on this file, but you know, pre-preparing some analysis on certain things and whatnot. But I do want to wind up covering like Dark Souls 2. I don't know if I would do Scholar of the First Sin. I don't actually think I own that at the moment. But I do have Dark Souls 2 Vanilla, and I do despise that game. For good reason, I think. I think it would be very interesting to talk about piecemeal, rather than just say game bad. I'll try and defeat Castle Morn by the Shackle and end stream there. I feel like that's a reasonable point for stream 1. Elden Ring after all. I think it's probably one of those things where it's like, once you see it, you can't unsee it, with the whole idea I just mentioned of react to the swing of an attack rather than miss on it. Oh my god. Ooh. That stung so bad. Whew. Now there goes 2.5k souls. I need to remember to send this elevator down. I keep looping this. Okay. Oh, I was thinking, since I don't have a shield, maybe I could use a sword as a shield, but I realized if I dual-handed it would, cover stance isn't the term, is it? But it would just attack with the other weapon. I really, like, there was at least one roll that seemed to get eaten there by lag, and I feel like I've heard more complaints about inputs being eaten on Elden Ring than any From Software game. I don't know if it's like a real problem. There's a lot of people... Goodness. It might be because I have, like, more of a background in fighting games than the vast majority of people do, but a lot of people seem to conflate buffering inputs with, like, the game reading stuff improperly and stuff. I heard a lot of complaints about the way buffering rollings works, and some people, of course, complained about that without knowing what was going on, and describing it as if the game was like rolling for them. But I don't mind the buffer, but it's just that the lag, especially on PC, just occasionally eating inputs is really bad. Like, you know, unacceptable's a bit harsh, but even if it's like 1 in every 500 button presses, you're still gonna go through that, like, I don't know, at least once an hour or something across a playthrough. And it feels very bad. I don't actually know if it was fixed, so take it with a grain of salt, but it was very clear day one when I first game of Elden Ring to see that the game clearly loads the map in chunks, like the exact same way Minecraft does, with just certain squares of the map loaded at a time. And very, very often, like when you walk over one of these chunk borders, the game could drop very low, like you're talking 10-12 FPS. And during times like those, your inputs were just guaranteed to drop. Oh my god. Yo, Chip, don't use my real name in here. I do like Quantum Leap though. Goodness. really hope I get this done within a reasonable amount of time. Oh my god. Wow. Whoa. Are you kidding me? That was sore. I wish this was, like, more interesting of an area to talk about. There's not really a lot to say about Castle Morn. It's really, really small. The Mistbegotten aren't that bad if you're, like, sword and boarding. Like, this... I mean, if I wasn't using a torch, this would be fine. Oh my god. I wish I knew, I don't actually know why enemies sometimes get yellow eyes. I thought that was because they would refill Estus, but not certain. Oh my. I would love to bring up a spreadsheet of all the loading screen backgrounds and discuss that. Because those are... I mean... in Demon Souls, maybe you could say that they're like concept art often. I'm having a tough time remembering how they are in Dark Souls, because I know Dark Souls has some that are like... Dark Souls obviously has got the very infamous loading screens that are item descriptions. I feel like I remember Dark Souls also having a few, like, the Iron Golem. Zero stagger, he just hyper armored through that. Zero runes, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I'm hoping they either come closer or just fall off, or like de-aggro. Well, I don't need those souls back. I can just progress. It's a bit annoying. Hope this doesn't take too long. Obviously they are hideous mongrels, but that felt a little rude. I don't remember them, like, not aggroing. If I react to the swing rather than the wind up, like, I keep panic rolling, which there's no need to do in this game. It's more likely to get you hit than to save you. Like that. Jump attacking is something I would like to talk a lot on. Jump attacking and guard counter are two mechanics I'd love to make a video on because they're like absurdly good. Like, if I'm, ooh, I don't think I've ever had that. If you're using a two-handed strong weapon, well, strong weapon, like a heavy weapon, like a great hammer or claymore, you should almost always just jump attack instead of anything else. It's almost always the best option. The same probably goes a lot for a lot of either heavy or medium weapons. I'm not sure about dex. I haven't ever really tested guard counters using dex weapons, but it would not surprise me to learn that you should be mixing a lot of those in with your regular combat too. That's assuming you use a shield. And the same goes for, I can't really say about how much poise damage and such jump attacks deal for dex weapons. Oh, L. Self-ratio. Oh, I hate this room. I don't really need to kill him, I guess. The soul reward will be absolutely minimal. A good thing with jump attacks is that while jumping below your torso you don't have a hitbox. You can just chew through a lot of different types of attacks. And the poise damage as well as the actual like physical damage of jump attacks is just really, really high for what it is. Are you kidding? Leave. Go. Well, lost fight time, I guess. Not gonna kill those misbegotten. That's a waste of my life. Okay. Maybe. I think I should probably go catacomb diving before even attempting this. I severely miscalculated how much damage I would do. Okay. I'll teleport us back to the Eastern Limgrave next time, I think. I feel like that's a good place to end stream because, and I don't want to go through a full cave if my damage is that low and not with me wearing cloth. I'll attempt to just stream semi-regularly from now on. Not sure how often, but in between videos it should be decent padding content. I'll have to edit this VOD slightly in post, I'm afraid, so a small piece might be missing later, but it's nothing important. Hopefully chat's